Hi, and welcome to the pre-race show for round number 14 of the AOSC, where we get to review everything that happened last round at Silverstone. It was a big one, 650k race, and of course, endurance, where we get the teamed up drivers. But joining me to discuss that will be Daniel Leet and Matthew Norris. Welcome tonight, guys.
Evening.
Hello.
Mate, it's a big one to go through, of course, all thanks to JINX Shifters, AJ Insurance Services, Simrigs.com, Sydney Computers, Bowler Media and Sideways Photography, Race Circuit Art Australia, and, of course, Track Cams for Gourmets. If you haven't already, make sure you get to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe to that one. But, we've also got Mark Samuel coming on tonight from the AOSC to discuss the upcoming Season 11, so can't wait to see what he's got in plans for that, I suppose, guys. We're pretty excited about next season. It's not that far away.
Not far to go at all. We're in the, sort of that last back-end stage of the championship now, so all looking forward to what's coming on the horizon for the next season.
Well, before we can do that, though, we need to look at round number 13 from Silverstone. It was 650 kilometres and some new pairings in this one. Very interesting. We'll get through these results. Let's check out the top five right now. And winning, once again, not surprised to see, of course, James Scott at the top there, but with a new partner, Jordan Ross gets the win. Then we see Damien Johnson and Christian Smart, who have been very strong recently in individual races, getting second place. Adam Briggs and Andrew Dyson ending up in third. Kenneth Latta and Sean Lindsell in fourth. And Corey Sheppard and Brian Borg end up back down in fifth after some decisions after the race. So those were the top five after 650 kilometres. It was a big race. And I tell you what, Norrie, an interesting combination there. James Scott got Jordan Ross into his team.
Yeah, you don't see that move happen too often. I mean, Jordan Ross moves across and pairs with the champion, or the champion-elect, I should say, at this point, because when you're given the opportunity to go to Altus, obviously you're going to go to Altus. You're going to do that, and it's going to be a good move. But the massive net code that sort of happened middle of that race that I don't think Dan or I have ever seen before, or anyone for that matter, that really threw a spanner in the works. And so they really had to fight back. And, I mean, credit to them, kudos, because getting the win after that's incredible.
And Dan, I mean, we look at position number two, those guys, individually, they've been quite strong in recent times, but we paired them up and now they've ended up second. And that's, of course, Damien Johnson and Christian Smart. Yeah,
absolutely. And another pair of the Synergy stablemates really just getting on with business and keeping their nose clean. The big aid for those guys as well came in the form of Corey Sheppard and Brian Borg being penalised for a driving infringement. They exceeded the maximum drive laps for the cars there, so that did hurt them as well. But, I mean, they kept their nose clean all night, Dylan and Christian, and with a few minutes to go on the clock, they actually managed to get through on Adam Briggs and Andrew Dyson as well and pull themselves up into that second position. So it was a great run from them all in all.
And guys, Michael Taliancic, let's talk about Mickey T again. Had to come from the rear again, and he's, really the biggest mover again, taking up the most positions.
Another 13 spots gained. He's just adding to his tally. I think, Dan, you calculated at the end, he's up to 60 spots or something now?
Yeah, he's really getting on with business. I mean, and we only started this tally back at Hockenheim as well, so he's been a man on a mission. If he gets that qualifying sorted, he's in for a great showing at the end of the race.
Let's talk about some of the other guys down the field. I mean, there's some battles going on. I mean, I did watch it in the replay. I wasn't there to do it live with you guys, but, I mean, there were battles all up and down the field, and that P16 was pretty impressive to watch for a while.
Absolutely. And I think that was sort of the battle that raged on throughout the entirety of the event between Kosiski and Simon Chadwick. There are quite a few other guys involved in that along the course of the run. So, that mid-pack, while they didn't have the outright pace, they were very evenly matched, and we saw some great moves. It would be down into turn 3, down to the hairpin there, and then back down through the later phase of the lap down to complete as well. So there's some really good opportunities, a lot of switchbacks as the guys worked their way through, and the fighting went on the whole way through the race.
Yeah, not surprised to see the Simrigs guys, of course, Adam Briggs and Andrew Dyson, that third position, like you say. only just missed out on getting second, but in their traditional third position. And I'm sure if they could have got the team back there in fifth. What I like is behind them, though, is their teammates really out of the DPR crew, Kenneth Latter and Sean Lindsell. Now, again, those guys have been improving since the new build of this car. We've seen them quite strong in individual races, team up, and they end up just outside the podium.
Yeah, the Stemrigs DPR boys have been phenomenal in that term, in that form of pace, and they've really found a good setup, which run well for them, and obviously P4 on the road. That's a good result.
Well, let's check out what the standings are now in the endurance. Of course, that will change a few things up, especially with Scott and Jordan teaming up in this one. But, of course, it is James Scott leading us out once again. Still in the lead there with some strong points. Andrew Dyson in second position now. Corey Sheppard back in third. Adam Briggs in fourth position with Jordan Ross now in fifth position in the endurance standings. Then it's Brian Borg in sixth. Tom Freer in seventh. Thomas Hinds in eighth after that sixth place there. Michael Taliantich in nine and Christian Smart in 10th. They're your top 10 in the endurance standings right now. So keeping in mind now, James Scott still has a bit of a lead out there, Dan. What's the mathematical chances of some of the other positions there? And can someone catch up to James Scott with only one endurance round left in this series?
Look, it's going to be a tall ask for the guys to get James Scott at the conclusion of the Endurance Championship. I mean, he's got himself a nice, comfortable 160-point advantage over Andrew Dyson in second, but pretty much we're expecting the guys between second to sixth, so Dyson, Sheppard, Briggs, Ross and Borg to all technically be in contention come the final round at Bathurst, which is our final 650k enduro for the event. And another bit of a special one, it is retro round for that one as well. So a little bit of time for all the guys and to work with their teams and team painters to sort out some fantastic liveries such as we saw last season. And hopefully we'll get a good variety of classic cars coming back out to the fold for that one.
Yeah, I reckon everyone should really get behind retro round. I mean, Norrie, what are we going to do in the pre-show? We're going to retro it up?
We might even have a three-way Norrie navigation. You might see all three commentators on track to settle once and for all who is the fastest commentator.
Maybe. Yeah, it's not going to be hard. I know where I stand up in the back, so that's all right. But, of course, once again, coming out of this week's race, Bauer Media and Sideways Photography doing another fantastic job of capturing everything that happened throughout the race. And, of course, check out that vision on screen. I mean, all those photos that come out are absolutely fantastic. Doing another great job. And so glad they could join us for AOS C10 in the latter half of that. And, we just love seeing what comes out. And we're glad they posted that all over social media. It's fantastic. And speaking of sponsors and everything that's happening in AOSC, of course, Mark Samuel joins us. Welcome, mate. Welcome to the pre-show for the first time.
Hey, boys. Happy to be here.
Mate, it's fantastic to hear your voice. I mean, we get to message you a lot and we hear from you in the background, but you guys are working furiously in the background to obviously get season 11 started. And what's coming up in that?
Oh, look, we've got a bit of a working group going off on the side that's looking at sort of how the series is going and what sort of changes we think we can make for the upcoming seasons to make it as exciting as possible. So we've got about, I don't know, half a dozen odd things here that we wanted to share with the competitors and the viewers to sort of get people chatting and see what they think and see what you guys think.
Well, we've already had it this year. Of course, we've had that single lap qualifying, and that's thrown a few little curveballs in there, hasn't it, guys? I mean, you see them come out, they qualify quite well in the pre-qualifying, and then they come out and do their one lap, they might end up back down the field, but it makes them for some exciting racing. So can't wait to see what you've got coming up this season. Run us through a couple of the things.
Righto. So a couple of things here. Basically, we're going to throw out a wildcard team entry. So those teams that might have a couple of drivers that don't necessarily want to do a whole season and sign up, we can give a team the option to buy an additional entry that they can share around their drivers. And so long as one driver doesn't do any more than 3 rounds, they'll be able to share that around, which would be good for some teams that don't have regular endurance pairings throughout the season. What else we got? We're going to have introduction of 2 compulsory pit stops for 150k races and 3 compulsory pit stops for the 300k races. Hopefully that should introduce a little bit more strategy into the mix. And we thought if we're going to do that, let's remove the fuel restrictions as well. So they're gone. Totally unrestricted tank. So do your 2 compulsory pit stops and, fuel up and do whatever you need. Short first stint, long middle stint, whatever. We're going to modify our incident limits. So for the 150s, it's going to be a we'll get rid of the 25 incidents and a DQ and replace it with something more along the lines of a 20 incident limit, then maybe an iRacing automated pit lane penalty, drive-through penalty for that. No change for the 300s and the 650s. We're going to, if you have to take a tow for a blown engine, we'll be applying an additional 1 lap black flag penalty, just to really we didn't want to have people disqualified for taking a tow on a blown engine, but we thought that, if that's happened to you, then you really should be down the back. Interested to hear what you guys think about that one. And in conjunction with the CPS rule, we're also going to reduce the percentage likelihood of the random safety cars. We figured that the 2 CPSs and the no fuel limit's going to put enough into the strategy already. You know what, we probably don't need extra safety cars in there, unless, of course, there's a bit of a on-track incident. What else we got? We got start time. So we're going to try and move the start time for the 150s forward, either half an hour or an hour. Still got to sort of try and sort that out. We do have a few drivers in Perth that, it's quite early for them. So we've got to take them into consideration. And lastly, and probably the biggest change that people will notice will be race control. We're going to look to try and loosen things up for the drivers. So less chance of a pit lane penalty for crashing into someone. Just those little mistakes. We want to try and get some more realistic door-to-door racing, get the guys really not afraid to send it in there, go for those big moves and hopefully make it just a little bit more fun for the guys.
And if someone wanted to comment on these and give you some feedback, what's the best way to do that? Through the Discord channel?
Yeah, Discord channel or AOSC Facebook is cool. Or you can drop a comment in this video.
Yeah, well, that's great. It's great that we're changing things up, keep these things exciting, isn't it, Norrie and Dan?
It absolutely is. And there's one rule I want to implement. I've called it out a couple of times in the broadcast. Mark, can we get something done about pit lane and the pit limiters actually being used?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, the reason we haven't done that so far is really just manpower to be able to police that. But, the more we think about it, we've actually got quite a lot of manpower out there. We've got you guys, we've got stewards, we've got directors, we've got 50 other competitors out there willing to dob in their mates for not doing it. So that's something that we could potentially look at bringing in. Mandatory pit lane speed limiter. They did it in the E series. They do it in real life. Potentially we could look at bringing that in. What's your beef with that, boys? Talk to me through that one.
It's just Norrie's beef. Norrie's got a beef about anything. It's just after he hit that wall, he's looking for any advantage he can get.
Being down in the pit lane, it's an unsafe work environment when drivers are cruising through there at 42 kilometres an hour.
Look, we've already blown the myth this week. Obviously, driving James Scott's car didn't stop him, did it, Norrie?
It tried to. It took it half a mile away.
It nearly derailed it on multiple occasions, Ed. Not only did Jordan get a bad start off the line, they had the massive netcode partway through. There was a big incident towards the end of the race. So, Norrie did almost everything possible to try and derail that one.
I'll tell you what, Norrie, we love your comments on this. And look, as a safety feature, we think probably we should put that speed limiter on just for you. No one wants to see you get hurt.
Really?
Well, maybe me and Dan, but look, everyone else doesn't want to see you get hurt. I'm pretty sure Mark doesn't want to see you get hurt.
Well, you're too much of an asset, mate. Part of the fabric of AOSC.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, look, some great changes though, Mark, and we've got to keep evolving this series, don't we? I like the pit stop strategy. I like, bringing in the pit stops because that does bring strategy into play, and we know there's been a few guys that have been thrown off by the random safety cars and things like that. So it really comes down to knowing, your fuel, how much fuel you're using, and putting all that together as a package rather than just being fast on the day.
And also, look, people, we try and socialise these changes with some of the bigger teams out there. We talk to DPR, we talk to Synergy, we talk to Altus. We talk to these teams and we sort of try and bounce a few ideas off them. Anyone's got an idea, we put on the list. So, there's plenty of things that haven't made it this far, but we're keen to hear what people have to say. And I think AOSC, we like to think that we're open and here for feedback. So if anyone wants to see something, chuck it our way and we might implement it.
And that's a huge asset. If I can just say, as an iRacer, that's a huge asset. You don't get series where they're actually willing to listen to the competitors. They just sort of dismiss the ideas. And I think AOSC taking collaborative feedback, and I think that's fantastic. So it's hats off to you guys for taking the initiative.
Thanks, man. Look, and a good news keeps coming because JINX are going to be here for another season next year and the season after that. So they're going to be here for season 11 and 12. And watch this space probably the next week or two for some exciting news with, new sponsors coming on board, potentially some giveaways during the season. And obviously calendar and registrations will open hopefully in the next fortnight.
Mate, that's fantastic news. So, look, do you want to hang around for the rest of the show? We've got to look at round number 14 at Spa. You want to hang around for that, Mark?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
have a look. All right. Well, let's bring up round number 14 at Spa and let's run through this one. It's going to be a 150-kilometre sprint race, 7 kilometres to get around this one, and it's going to be a huge race. Well, this week being a 150k race, of course, pre-qualifying starts 8:30 p.m. Our broadcast will start at 9:10, obviously Eastern Standard Time, and then 9:30 the race gets underway. Dan, as usual, take us through it.
Yeah, it's a long circuit. This one, just a touch over 7 kilometres, 4.35 miles, 21 laps for these competitors to get around here at Spa-Francorchamps, which is going to be a fantastic one. The big ticket points that we need to keep an eye on are definitely into turn 1, especially on that opening lap with the guys coming from the standing start. The trouble spot also for the guys well down the order, they got to navigate that chicane, and we've already seen some guys, if we think back to Charlotte, trying to get their way through the chicane. There was a few issues there, so hopefully that doesn't happen, but you get the run into La Source right, and the run down towards the hill is all important to get those last few spots made before you make the big run up through Rouge, turn 3 and 4, and then down onto Radion and onto the Camel Straight. If you can nail that right, you set yourself up for a fantastic run in towards turn 7 there, down into the Lacombe chicane there, which is very quick. We've seen plenty of passing completed through that. We've also seen a few guys just miss a fraction and overshoot and come back on a little bit later on. But if you get it right, there's a couple of spots in the bag there for you to gain before you start making the run down the hill towards turn 10, which is a long radius hairpin corner. Takes a lot of load on the left-hand side of the car as you work your way through and then head up to no-name corner, turn 11. Turn 12, turns 10 and 11 are the double sweeper through the parabolic there, which is very, very quick. Again, you switch over a lot of load then on the right-hand side of the car as you work your way through. You can get a slight pass there, but as we've seen in the World Endurance Championship this year, it's very easy to have a coming together, and thankfully, you do have some runoff on the outside of the circuit if you do make a little bit of amends for it. The run down from there, down in towards turn 15, is critical if you want to set yourself up for the back end of the race. It's a very tight left or right-hand corner there. You run the car out very wide, but be careful not to go too far up on the curve and get one of the off-tracks, which come qualifying will be very key for those guys so they can get the best possible starting position. The run out of 16 is extremely fast. You need to run out, use all the curb on the outside before you head towards turn 17 of Blochemont, and then up into 18, which has got to be the scariest part of the circuit, second probably only to Rouge and Radion, where you have a slight lift, the car wants to step sideways, and set yourself up for the run in towards turn 19 and 20 at the chicane, where when we went here last time out, where we had James Scott and Cooper Webster win, as it was a 650 Enduro starting off season 8. We saw a lot of guys get the passing down into that section of the circuit. So you can make a lot of passes there. The curbs are very big on the inside of 19 and again through 20. So getting that is critical. But once you do, you get the traction down, you come across the line to get yourself a good lap there. So that's going to be important. Plenty of opportunity for off tracks for these guys, which they need to keep in the back of their mind there, especially come qualifying, as I was saying before. They've got to make that lap work for them.
Yeah, I suppose there's nothing to talk about qualifying with such a long track is they're not going to have as much time to lay a fast lap down either. So time's going to be critical to get out there and get some clean air. But Norrie, what is going to be the strategy come race time?
Well, it's only going to be a really one-stopper because it's 21 laps. It's very short. It's a long circuit, so it's a short race. But the entry off the bus stop is going to really that's what really stuffs up the pit lane is the entry off the bus stop, and then you've got to fire around the hairpin at La Source and get out down on the run to El Rouge. So it's only a one-stopper, but it's a tight pit lane.
Look, speaking of success on this track, Mark, now I hear someone tells me you've had a little bit of success here at Spa in the past.
You've done your research, guys. You definitely know your facts. Don't know who would have told you that piece of information.
Season 5.
He's definitely not in this room right now. Yeah, got lucky back in the day, back before the rig seized up.
You mean got too much dust in it? Is that what you're saying?
Overuse, too much dust. No, man, it's good to have success around here. It's a great flowing track. It feels once you get that car hooked up and you're getting those corners and that sort of trail baking through those turns and the undulations, and the supercar can follow really well around here. And I loved it. I used to love racing around here. It's great.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, what's your favourite part of the track? Obviously, like you say, a lot of flowing sections, but where would you find, your optimum overtaking areas?
I think you find that it can be a bit tricky if you're too close to someone coming down to Eau Rouge with the draft. If you're too close to them through Radion at the top there, that you'll actually lose momentum because you've got to get off the gas if you're too close. So you probably actually want to find that you let off a little bit coming down into Eau Rouge and pick up the pace as you come up the hill through the compression. And then you really want to be just drafting past them right at the very end of that straight into that braking zone. You don't want to go past too soon. Otherwise, they can just jump back in your draft and grab you again.
Well, there you go. That's from the master himself, from a podium man. Have any of us been on the podium here at Spa before, boys? Not me, obviously.
No.
What's a podium?
Yeah, it's a podium. All right, look, big track. Everyone's going to be spread out on this one. Safety cars. What's the go, Dan? What do you reckon?
I'm expecting one.
One, Norrie?
Safe bet, Dan. One for me as well.
Mark, safety cars. What's your bet?
Oh, look, you could quite easily get a first lap safety car with a big pile up at the top of Eau Rouge there. So I'm going to go with 2.
So, look, I'm going to be a sheep and go with 1 because whenever the boys say it, they get it right and I end up forking out money. So, we're going to go with that safe bet. 1 safety car. Mark says 2. So we'll find out what happens throughout the broadcast. But, guys, anything else to talk about with this one at Spa? It's going to be short, sharp, and if you blink, you're going to miss it.
Well, speaking of blinking and missing it, that's another chance for us to plug Retro Round. It's coming up. It's the final round of the series, and so we're getting excited for this one. Get yourselves sorted. Get yourselves a retro livery. Make sure you're there on the grid. Get your mates in. Come on. Come in for the last round. Have some fun, and let's have a ding-dong battle at Bathurst.
Yeah, Bathurst's going to be a big one, Dan.
I'm looking forward to the continuation of that battle between DPR, Synergy and Altus to see if those guys can pick up where they left off at Silverstone and sort of get the elbows out and see what happens there, because it's a wide track. You can pretty much go 2 wide all the way around. So Briggs, Dyson, Ross, all battling, with Sheppard, and anyone actually sort of beat Scott.
Well, the other one you got to throw into the mix as well, and we didn't really speak of him a lot tonight, Corey Sheppard, the bridesmaid. He has got to pick up a win this time in the championship because he has been coming on strong over the whole entirety of this season. He is bound for a win.
I'm looking forward for Corey to put that aggression into Scott for once. It's sort of like he sort of is a bit tepid around Scott, but he elbows out when anyone like Dyson, Briggs, Ross comes near him. Boom. He's all super aggressive, but around Scott, he sort of just doesn't quite make those moves just yet. He did make the undercut a couple of races back. I think it was Charlotte, which was pretty good. But I'm looking, hopefully, this week he can get those elbows out and stop being the bridesmaid and actually stand on the top step.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 3 races left to do it, guys, and he's got to have a win in season 10 because we keep saying it. He definitely deserves it. He's got the skill and he's definitely getting that maturity that he needs to know when to make that pass. So I hope he does. And like we say, 3 rounds left to do it. Will it be there? Will it be in the Enduro with Borgie? Will he team up with Borgie again? That's the other question. I mean, Scott, who's he going to team up with at the retro round as well? So there's still a few things to unravel in this season, and we'll see how that goes. But don't forget, if you haven't already, get to the YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to that one. This weekend, of course, the broadcast starts at 9:10 p.m. with the main race starting at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Friday the 21st of May, of course, it's race 189 in the AOSC history. Guys, I mean, I just can't wait for this one. I'm excited. It's a short, sharp race. And it's going to be super exciting.
Yep. Cannot wait.
Cannot wait. All right. Good. Thanks for joining us tonight, Mark. It's been great to hear you, and can't wait to see what season 11's. Can't wait to see what comes out on social media. Make sure you like the Facebook page as well. And if you've got any comments on tonight, what do you want to see in season 11, don't forget to go to the Discord channel or just message the Facebook page and obviously talk to Mark and the guys there, and obviously willing to learn and take in, some of the information that everyone wants to put it back into the series, so we make it as exciting as possible in season 11 and on to season 12 as well. So thanks, guys. I can't wait for the race. We'll see you soon.